Happy Thursday, or as Dizzy would say, happy Friday Eve. I'm Lauren Conlin, and I'm here with Jack Fox of Never a Truer Word, or on YouTube, Never a Truer Word video. You all know him so well. Our favorite deception detector, Jack. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Lauren?
I'm doing well. I slept pretty good last night. That's rare for me. You guys know that. Usually I'm like, I'm so tired. I didn't sleep at all. So yeah.
I don't know the time difference, but you were texting me very early your time this morning, were you not?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm up early because that's like the other thing. I really like I feel like my body clock goes off at 5, but I lay in bed. I
Right.
don't get up at 5. I just kind of like dick around and doom scroll on my phone.
To
But
stick around, communicate with me. There we go.
yeah, or that,
Statement
or
analysis live right there.
exactly. Or I also like to call it rotting. I'm very good at rotting on my phone, not doing nothing substantial. But hello to everyone in the chat. Good morning, Sal.
Is it just me then? Has she pressed the wrong button again? Okay. Yeah, it's
I've
just. Oh,
not
she's
done
back. She's back. Thank God.
done that in such a long time. When we were first starting this, do you remember that? I did it all the time. Sorry. Weird. But okay, MJ, Afton, Dizzy, who else am I missing? Cat Lady. Good to see you all. Sal. All right. So we've got some things to go over today. And it's pretty light. I'm happy about that. There's a lot going on right now between the beginning of Karen Reed, her second trial, Lori Daybell. We've got Corey Richins coming up. There's a lot going on. Hey, Dan, good to see you. So I thought we would quickly start with the Hogan family drama because that was so weird. And also, I
Whoa.
haven't thought of the Hogans in so freaking long. I mean, like, I'll be honest, I listened to Brooke Hogan's single, whatever that stupid song was when it came out. I was a loser. But yeah, I mean, do you even know who they are before this?
Uh,
Like besides Hulk?
no, I'm aware of the consult of Hulk Hogan. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think he was alive anymore. I was sure he had died a few years ago. So it was when that TikTok came up with them sort of eating the popcorn, I was like,
Yep.
oh, okay, he's still with us, which is
Oh
great
yeah.
news. But yeah, I did not know about the wider family drama.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if anybody watched the Vince McMahon doc on Netflix, I saw this other side of Hulk that I was like, "Oh, wow, I didn't realize that." I mean, he was very loyal to Vince McMahon, as he should have been. Vince McMahon, not the best guy, but it happens. All right, let me pull up one of the statements or did anybody watch the video of Linda Hogan? I gotta say, this is gonna come off probably not great, but like, girl, no one's seen you in a long time. If you're gonna do a video like that, put some makeup on, cover. I mean, the stills of this poor woman. It's just like, why would you want that out there? It's a little unhinged,
Yeah,
right? All
yeah,
right.
it's all messy.
Very, very, very. And this is what I'm talking about. These are the stills here where I'm like, man, I would not want that out there. So basically, what's going on is Linda Hogan has accused her daughter of being abusive. I mean, she actually said she sent her to the hospital once. She accuses Hulk of being a sex addict. And for me, this kind of came out of nowhere. I was like, oh, I didn't realize this was a thing here. But let's go to Jack to this statement for you to analyze. This one, Linda Hogan's, I think this is a Facebook post.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. I would love for you to go through this.
Okay, the very first thing I picked out there was the very first words she uses, which is seems narcissism runs deep in this family. She's part of that family. So
Mm.
is she including herself in the narcissism sect of the family here? Because she doesn't really distance herself from that at all. She brings closeness to the narcissism
Mm.
there. Again, we've got and they both do this, but they both use therapy speak. So Linda says, "I'm supposed to defend my truth against that," which is my truth, not the truth, but my truth. And I think this is not necessarily the fact that maybe someone's telling lies or deceiving us, although I think there's a lot
Mm.
of that going on here. I just think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
therapy speak coming out here where we talk
Can I
about
can I
my
ask you
truth.
something? Like about my truth. Sorry to interrupt you. I always wonder about that when people say this is my truth. I've always been I guess, under the impression that the truth is the truth. But listen, I get the fact that people see things differently. So is truth the right word? I feel like truth isn't the right word there, and everybody
No,
uses it.
I think when you're bringing up the word truth, and
Mhm.
very often when I talk about, if you bring up the concept of truth, you also bring up the concept of lies, because it's the opposite that's there. So when you actually go and say, talk about the truth, rather than this is what happened,
Mm,
this is, these are the real events that occurred, or something like that, then
yeah,
you are dealing more with facts. And what you'll find is that people who are being truthful in general never feel the need to persuade you they're being truthful. So you spoke about your wake up routine this morning. You didn't say, to be honest with you, I was doing this. And, my truth is I just sit in bed looking at my phone. You just told us what you do in the morning. You didn't persuade us that this was my truth, or anything like that. So I do
yeah,
think when someone starts flying that they're talking the truth, there's some issues going on there.
yeah.
And certainly there's a concept there of not just truth, but lies are involved in that. I
God.
find it hilariously funny, because the next line then is, she says, I'm not, I'm supposed to defend my truth against that. I'm not about to do that. And then here comes the truth, or my truth. And
Right.
it's, say it all the time, but when someone tells you what they're not doing, what they're not thinking of, what the statement is not about,
Mm,
that still their focus is on the thing that they're claiming that it's not about. So her focus is on, I'm not about to do that. And then
right.
she does it. And it's, when someone tells you they're not doing something, unless they've been challenged, but if they're just saying, I'm not doing this, or I'm not thinking about that, they
Yeah.
are thinking about that. They might be thinking about it in a different way, but they are thinking about that. And she goes on to talk about the truth some more. She says, it seems to me that she doesn't want the truth being revealed to her new husband and his family about who she was and things in her past, which again is about the truth. But also, that's a threat.
Mm.
That is a threat. Is there such a thing as lying truth? It's too early in the day. That's a complex question, Sal.
Wait,
Is
I
this?
know, right? I know. No, that's a good question though. I think that for what you've taught me, Jack, is truth within lies,
Uh,
which works
yep.
against people in a way. We've talked about this at nauseum, but Chris Watts barreling in, his daughters were found in barrels, and yeah, so that's what I think of that as because of you.
Yes, there's also the thought that the truth is the truth to you as you know it.
Yeah.
So I've used this example before, but if I tell you right now that I have a green car parked outside my house, as far as you're concerned, you don't think I'm a liar. You'll think I have a green car parked outside my house. You might go and tell other people Jack has a green car parked out his house, and it will sound very truthful because you believe it, even though I don't. So there is that as well. What I do
Yeah.
find interesting is when someone is accusing you of being an abuser, and I see this quite a lot. The person who's being accused of abuse cannot help but to make threats,
Mm.
which is not a really good look. When you're being accused of treating someone in an abusive way, then threats are a kind of abuse. So to make a
Yes.
threat is like, what are you doing here? Is this just your normal, that you don't even consider
Yes.
some things abuse because they're just your normal, and you go around your life making these threats? You don't even realize they're abuse. You just think you're fighting for what is right, or something like that. So I think that's what's going on there with Linda.
I I immediately thought of, and I'm not trying to defame anybody, but I immediately thought of Sebastian Rogers' stepfather, Chris Proudfoot, and the fact that he had been accused of abuse, with Sebastian, who is still missing, by the way, the young autistic boy, 15 years old, sweet, sweet boy, missing from Tennessee for over a year. And this guy's out there threatening everybody. I mean, people in the chat, I know that you know what I'm talking about. It's so crazy. But just really quick with Linda Hogan, I mean, a lot of this is so weird. And I guess just as a parent, I can't imagine having a public fight with my child. And yes, my children are young. I mean, 9 and 6, but it's like, I don't know. I wouldn't really want to embarrass her like this. I would just be like, okay, you're a little selfish brat, but I'll keep that to myself. I mean, that's so weird.
Yeah, it's really weird, but I guess a lot of it is what you're used to. So we know that people who were abused as children are more likely to be abusers when they're older. So there could just be that it just seems like a normal way of being to someone. I think as well, if she has lived her life in the public eye, then actually having spats, they did a reality show, the Hogans, did they? Am I right
Yeah,
in thinking
I
that?
watched
Right.
it.
So
Yeah.
again, you've got that sort of thing where it might just be entirely normal for these things to play out, to let these things play out in public, especially if
Yeah.
it's worked favorably for you in the past. Oh, that worked well last time, so I'm going to go for it this time. So what might be exceptional to you might be very ordinary to someone who's grown up that way or learned that behavior, I guess.
Right. True.
We've just got another sign of an abuser here, and it's a sign of an abuser. I'm not saying it's proof of abuse,
Mm-hmm.
but she says they had cell phones. She could have posted horrible things about me back when all this was supposedly happening, but nothing. She didn't because nothing was happening. But when she took her dad's side after the divorce and made the whole wonderful mom song, she went to all the tabloids. Again, abusers will often hit back at someone making an allegation of abuse by saying, well, you could have said something at the time, as
Right.
if that is proof that abuse did not happen. And as we all
Right.
know, that many people who are abused don't speak up at the time. Sometimes they don't even realize abuse is happening until years later.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it way too often with abusers denying abuse took place, not because it didn't take place, but because nothing was said at the time, which again is something that Linda is showing here.
Right. Wow. That's a really good point. This her whole statement makes me really uncomfortable. I mean, it's just like, hey, Linda, nobody asked for this. Truly, nobody asked for this. But here we
Yeah.
are. Here we are.
She's given it with both the barrels, I think. There,
Yeah.
she just later on in there, she says her memory is completely skewed about the treatment that she received growing up in our household. Note the phrase that she uses there. She doesn't deny there was treatment she received growing up in her household. She doesn't say she's lying about the treatment she received. She's saying it's skewed about the treatment there. So skewed is not wrong. Skewed is bent when we spoke about truths.
Mhm.
As we all know, different people have slightly different perceptions of the same event, and so on. So that could explain the skewedness. But she doesn't have the words there to say, this never happened. This never happened. It's more saying her perception is different from mine there about the treatment she received growing up in her household, admitting there that there was treatment, which is a very different words or very different use of words from the way she was treated or what happened in our household or something a bit more neutral than that. It is the treatment that she received growing up in our household. Didn't like that.
Yeah, and by the way, the third sentence or whatever that is, when she says she's not going to defend her truth or she's not about to do that, you're so right. This whole thing is completely
She
defensive.
did.
Like what?
And then the only other thing I've got in Linda's statement was you said that she accused the daughter of injuring
Yeah.
her. She says she was so drunk she broke my collarbone and cut my lip. She doesn't say how, and she doesn't say it was violence. She does not
Mhm.
say how at all. So while there may be some truth there that someone was drunk and that Linda got injured, she doesn't say how. She doesn't say she attacked me. She doesn't say anything like that. I'm wondering if there's a little bit more to that story than is said there, because she doesn't elaborate. She certainly doesn't accuse her of any violence. She doesn't accuse
Right.
her of any sort of attack or anything like that. Could this injury have happened while drunk, but through more of an accident than a sort of deliberate accidental attack? Especially because breaking a collarbone is something you do when you fall, more rather than through any other way, I think, or maybe being hit with an object. I'm not a medical expert, I realize as I start saying that, but there's just, again, it felt to me like there's some truth in that because it's straightforward, but there's something missing there in terms of context for what she said.
And it's a run-on sentence where she says she did all this to me, but she was poisoned. I don't understand. I guess I'm totally lost on that, on what she's trying to convey to us. She's poisoned, but she wasn't. It's so weird.
Yeah. The take I took on it was that maybe Brooke was claiming that she'd been poisoned at the time. I don't know.
Yeah. Wait, are you sorry, does anyone hear that static or is that me? Did anyone just hear that? Talk again, Jack. Sorry, I don't know if that was me.
What was
Oh,
I talking about?
I hear static when you're talking right now, but
Oh,
I don't
really?
know. Yeah, but it could, like I said, it could be on my end. If anyone in the chat wants to, oh yeah, people hear static. That's weird.
No, I'm sorry.
Do you wanna jump out and then jump in? Yeah.
Yeah, I will do that. Let me
Yes,
just.
it's very staticky. I swear.
Ooh, back in a sec.
Okay, back in a sec. Okay, I'll move this for a minute. Okay, hi. Uh, so guys, I just really quickly while he fixes everything, I have something really interesting and I'm trying to figure out how to put it out into the universe. I was able to get my hands on the transcript from the first Harvey Weinstein trial, and I don't really think it's out there at all. I believe Candace Owens might have it. Oh, here he is. But yeah, I got to figure out how to relay this. Some of these things I want to go over, but oh, my family's in the chat. Hi, everyone. Okay, let's try this again. Hi. Can I hear you? You're good. Guys, he's good. He's good. He's good. All right. Okay, we'll go back to this really quick.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you there.
Okay. You're good.
I'm okay. That's excellent.
Yes. So, I mean, overall, hold on, sorry, MJ. Where's MJ? No, I want to figure out how. I don't know how much of it I should release or whatever, but I'm gonna figure it out or go over it during a live because I've been bookmarking certain things and yeah, really crazy stuff that has kind of changed some of my opinions. I'll just put it that way. Okay. So overall, Jack, I mean, Linda, do we find her credible with this statement?
I'd have to say I find her the biggest thing I see are the hallmarks of how an abuser talks and acts, with the threats and with the if you didn't say anything at the time, it didn't happen, rather than just saying it didn't happen. Proof of nothing, but it's not a very credible statement to me.
The whole thing, right, is just not super credible.
It's not super credible when someone says I'm not. I mean, just look at it word for word. She says I'm not about to tell the truth, and then says something. So is she flagging up that actually this is not the truth because I said I wasn't going to tell the truth?
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, and your favorite word, I think it's like the third to last sentence. She says she was just drunk. She was just drunk. You love just.
I don't love just. Don't love the use of just at all. Yeah, nah,
Yep.
not having it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I personally, there's a reason. I believe there's a reason why this family had a reality show. They are very good at drama, right? I mean, they're good at drama. You have to be willing to put it all out on the table and be a little bit unhinged, I feel like. So, yeah, and MJ, she did post it on Facebook. And there's more, like her video is really cringy. We don't need to watch that because I do feel like a lot of people here are really interested also in Laura Owens and Clayton Echard. So we should get to that. Let me change my banner here because Laura Owens lost big time. But we knew that was going to happen. I'm going to just update this. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to share her Medium post first. And listen, I believe like she hasn't changed. Jack, I think you might feel the same way. She really hasn't learned anything. She hasn't changed. This is very tough. Very, very tough.
Yeah, she is. She's not my favorite person, as
Wait,
regulars around here
Allie,
will know.
she did not have twins. I don't know what you're talking about. She didn't. That's the whole thing. She did not have twins. She lied about the twins. My sister is uninformed. It's totally fine. We're about to inform you. We're about to inform you. She most certainly did not have twins. Okay. Let me share this instead. All right. All right. Here we go. Wait, who are you talking about? Brooke? Oh, you're talking about Brooke Hogan.
Brooke
No,
had twins.
sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, okay, sorry. She's like, what? No. We're talking about Laura Owens, who lied and said she was pregnant with twins, Clayton Echard's twins from The Bachelor. Okay, here we go. Jack. Let's
right.
go.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, bad.
I mean, my first, and whenever I look at a statement when it's been published like this, the first thing that I look at is what's the audience, what's the, and you can sometimes there's two audiences. So when you think back to Linda Hogan there were two audiences. One was to Brooke because she was making those threats directly to Brooke. The other one was to the world. You know, it was a sort of I'm defending myself to the public there. And so when I look at this, I'm like, who is the audience for this Medium post? Because she's telling was it the Arizona Court of Appeals that they're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's what?
Maricopa County, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, podcaster and horse rider and whatever, telling the Court of Appeals you're wrong, and in quite stringent terms. So it's just that seems very strange. I'm guessing the Court of Appeals. In fact, I know the Court of Appeals is not the audience. I don't think anyone is so dumb as to think that they're going to stick something up on Medium talking about an appeal case they've lost, and the Court of Appeals is going to go, actually, we you seen this? We didn't think this one through. This Medium blog is completely correct.
Right.
So
Your Substack swayed us. Yeah.
yes. Who is the audience for this? And I think there are a couple of audiences here. One is Clayton himself, and the other one is the public, but the public she thinks she can get on her side, as we'll see when we go through it.
Right. And you're right. It is interesting, and I do feel like she definitely seems like she needs the last word here, especially when things just have not gone her way publicly at all. So
Yeah.
it's fine. I mean, it's a free country. You know, you can say what you want, write a Substack. I get it. But when you have people like yourself who are experts in statement analysis, I mean, a lot of people can see right through it. So
Yeah.
Well,
let's see if we can see right through it. She starts off again, just like with Linda Hogan. I'm going to look at the very first thing that she mentions, which is a paternity petition, and then Clayton Echard gets a mention because that's, I think, one of her priorities. This absolute hatred / love that she has for this guy, bordering on obsessive. I could not work out why she felt she had to mention he was a former star of The Bachelor. Straight away, it's kind of like, no longer a star, or whether it is just to attach herself to the sort of fame that comes with that. But you know, when you're writing a blog about how wrong a legal decision is, strange way to start it by talking about I did this against the former star of The Bachelor.
Yeah, that is weird. It's kind of a name dropping thing. And just as a disclaimer, anyone watching, this is strictly opinion, Jack's expert opinion. So I just want to put a disclaimer out there. No need to take anything conclusively.
Yes. Hello, Lauren. I've got lots of Laura. I've got lots of opinions. Every time I do this, I call her Lauren. Right. She then talks about the court, and right up there, when she talks about what she expects the court to do. Then she talks about herself, and she says, "I had medical documentation of my pregnancy." Again, no need to mention it there. It's in the first few lines there. So why is she saying that? Well, one of the reasons might be that she didn't have medical documentation of her pregnancy, that this was all in doubt and during the actual trial there. But she wants to state it as a fact very early on, and more than the Arizona law even requires. So she didn't just have documentation, she had more than was required by law. So she's really, I don't know, the allegation is she was never pregnant, that the documentation she had, she made up or got from somewhere else. So she's going straight in with that one to prove that she had this medical documentation.
And I just want to say something, like a blanket statement, I guess. And to me, this is just really obvious, but I think one of the most important things here, why I have a hard time believing anything that she says, is because having a miscarriage and miscarrying twins or losing babies is very traumatic. And in my opinion, that should be the top of mind here. Not that you lost in court, not that he doesn't. It would just be like, I am so heartbroken and hurt. I lost my effing babies. And right. And this guy doesn't care. and I'm over here suffering this huge loss. But no, you don't. You don't feel any of that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that is the truth. That should be anybody's truth who goes through something as traumatic as losing twins. You know, at what was it, 14 weeks she claimed? I don't know if anyone can, well, I'm sure someone in the chat can say it, but it's really bothersome.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to go to that point, just further on down that opening
Yeah.
paragraph, she makes a little wordplay on miscarriage. She
Yeah.
says, what followed was not only a pregnancy miscarriage, but also a miscarriage of justice.
Oh God. And that's not,
Which is
no.
it's not nice. I have seen some folks say, was this generated by AI? I actually put this through an AI checker, which said no, it wasn't generated by AI. So it
Wow.
said it was 0% AI. I don't know how good it was,
Yeah.
but it all seems to be from her hand. Then right down at the very bottom of that opening section, just before point one, which is what you've got on the screen there, she says, let me explain exactly how and why this case matters to everyone, not just me. Now, this is a classic I see time and time and time again in deception, where the person doing the deceiving, standing up and telling a story, especially when they're against authority, they will say, I'm not just doing this for me, I'm doing this for everyone. I think they kind of feel like it cuts off any shut up, you're being selfish, or you're only thinking of yourself. They're actually saying, hey, look how important I'm doing this for you. This is
Yeah.
about you. This is not about me. It's a manipulative way of being. Again, when someone does that, there are altruistic people in the world who do things for other people, but when you see someone where you doubt their motives and they say they're doing this for everyone, not just me, you could be this person next time. That's why I'm doing this. Don't buy too much into it.
People say that about Karen Reed, though. They say Karen Reed could be anyone. Sorry, I always bring up Karen Reed. I'm sorry. There's a way to insert her into every single conversation, but anyway.
I'm not going to comment on Karen Reed
I
today.
know. It's fine, but it is said. But anyway, okay, continue.
Okay.
Yes.
Right now, this for me is the biggest thing that I spotted in all of this. Under that point one there on the screen, where she claims that the judge in the trial made up evidence, and it was evidence. In fact, we should just read all of it so it all makes sense.
Yes.
So she claimed that Echard's expert testified the Planned Parenthood clinic I referenced was closed the day I said I visited. Now, look at that wording. There's another way you could say that if you actually had gone to that clinic on that day. You could have said, she claimed Echard's expert testified that the Planned Parenthood clinic I visited was closed on that day. But no, it's the clinic she referenced. So distance, it's not a clinic I went to, it's a clinic I referenced. And on the day, not on the day I visited, on the day I said I visited. Now, why would you put all those little distancing points in there if you actually had gone to the clinic on that day? But there is distance from the clinic and there's distance from the day as well there. She has not said it in the most straightforward way, which is generally the most truthful way. The expert said that the Planned Parenthood clinic was closed the day I went. That would have been something, but the clinic I referenced, so there's distance. And the
Jack,
day
can you repeat
I
that?
said
That
I
is
visited,
wild. Repeat that. Like all of her words that I referenced, I said I visited. That's wild.
she is sticking distance after distance after distance. Let me tell you, I'm not saying right here that Laura Owens is a liar because I wasn't there. I don't know. What I am saying is that when someone consistently lies, it's really hard and the truth will leak out. You will just have to see it. You will see it in things like distance. You will see it in things like talking in general terms rather than in specific terms. And you'll see it in things like this, where she might think that she's been quite formal with her language because this is impressive because it's a court legal thing that I'm writing. But she does not say for a fact there that she visited that clinic on that day. She distanced from it.
And I think this was the clinic that she claimed she gave a fake name to, where we figured out you can't get an appointment a medical appointment using a fake name. It just doesn't work like that. That's
Yeah.
not real life.
And I think this might also been the one that she's just suddenly decided when she was on the stand to name. It was like the second or third one that she claimed that she'd been
Yeah.
to. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. That just blew my mind. Okay, continue. My mind is
Um,
blown.
just she deals with lots in that part there. And what she doesn't do as she goes through it, and she's saying things like, "This was not a clerical mistake; it was extrajudicial, the alleged product of Judge Mata's own independent research, which is not a legally permissible source of evidence." She doesn't once dispute this finding. So what she's saying is, Judge Mata should not have done this research. Judge Mata should not have based a decision on this research. What she doesn't once claim in any of this is that the research that Judge Mata did led to a wrong conclusion. Why not?
Mm, wow.
If I thought a judge had done some of their own research and come up with something that was not true, I would be screaming that from the
Yep.
rooftops.
Yep. Wow. That is so interesting. Oh my goodness. And I'm just going to pin this comment, which is not relevant to this, but we should send Jack an Andrew Tate video for sure, Afton. And MJ had me going down the rabbit hole with Andrew Tate the other day, and it is not pleasant. So wait, Jack, that should be something we do next
Yes.
because
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
that guy's a piece of shit. Excuse my language. Piece
Yeah.
of shit. Not
But
even an
also,
alleged piece of shit.
I'll mute my comments that day as well.
Yeah.
But yes,
Okay, sorry. Let's go back to
no,
Laura.
that's a good person. So if you go down to part 2 on her complaint here, or her
Yes.
whatever it is, where she talks about they ignored Arizona law and my medical evidence. And it's just the third line there on the screen. She says, I submitted lab-confirmed blood and urine HCG tests from 2 separate medical providers, proof of pregnancy backed by science, not speculation. She takes no ownership of that phrase at all, apart from the fact that she submitted them. So she doesn't say that it was her blood, her urine. The medical providers had given these tests to her, administered these tests on her. Proof of
Mhm.
pregnancy to whom? She does not say. Again, it's just what I always say is build up the data points, right? So I can't look at just those 4 lines of text and say she was never pregnant. I've got proof; it's definite there. But you see the same thing repeated time and time and time again, then you can kind of go, there's something going on here. And that's what goes on here with Laura Owens, is that I can build up the data points and see this happen so often that she takes no pronoun and ownership of
Yep.
this.
That's a great point. And that is weird. Why would she have to have proof from 2 providers? I would honestly, just going back to me personally, my opinion, if this was me, it's like I'm freaking pregnant. Here it is. Take it or leave it. Like I don't this is stupid. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to sit here and go all around town to all these different clinics to prove to you that I'm pregnant. This is it.
Yeah.
This is all you
It's
need. You
like
don't need yeah.
super
Not
proof. I've got 2 proofs. I'm extra proofed up. It's
well, I mean,
just
I get like peeing on a stick multiple times. Obviously, we've all done that. I mean, you haven't, but like, but I would never even dream of going to another doctor if I got you know what I mean? Like that would just be such a waste of time, but
yeah. Yeah.
that's just me.
Yeah, unless you had problems proving the pregnancy for some reason. I don't know.
Sure.
Could that have happened? Anyway,
Or that.
let's move on to the part you can just see in it's kind of the middle of the screen where it says ARS 25804.
Yes.
So right after that, they didn't even explain how someone who meets and exceeds the state's requirements could be deemed to have filed in bad faith. If a woman who submits medical proof can be told she made it all up, what chance does anyone have? Notice that, again, she takes no ownership. She doesn't put herself in there. They didn't
Right.
even explain how I, who meets and exceeds the statutes of requirements, could be deemed to have filed in bad faith. If I submit medical proofs and because told I made it all up, what chance does anyone have? No, she's over there in the general again, just someone who meets and exceeds the state's requirements. And just this woman who's submitted medical proof can be told she's made it all up. So she keeps withdrawing herself from the story that she's telling and just talking in these very general terms. And I've seen
Right
this
here.
through her so often. She doesn't own what she says,
Yeah.
especially around the pregnancy.
If a woman, I mean, you're right. It's totally distancing from the truth. Or Yeah, or maybe not the truth. I don't know how you want to frame that, but it's strange. You're totally right.
Yeah. The next section, I sometimes can't be bothered reading all of what she says. But if we go, yeah. Now, look, let's be fair there. Paragraph 3 on the screen there starts with "after I miscarried," so she does own
Okay.
that there.
Okay. Right
But
here.
so,
Yep.
you know, there's a data point that goes the other way.
Hmm.
But just further on down there, she says Judge Mata still imposed nearly $150,000 in attorney fees, citing bad faith conduct. The appellate court upheld the decision
Oh,
without reconciling the absence of a valid motion, proper notice, blah, blah, blah. Once more, she doesn't dispute that these things happened. She doesn't say it wasn't bad faith conduct. She just doesn't like the fact that someone has said it is bad faith conduct. Again, it is. She just keeps doing this where she's not arguing with the determination of the court. She's doing some
right.
legal arguing around that. She does the same thing just at the end of there, which is the last paragraph in that, where she talks about the litigant, not herself. But it's the litigant tries to do the right thing and is punished anyway. So once more, she's just taken herself out of all of this, and she's not really owning it.
And something else I noticed is she really seems to be very hyper focused on the legal process, that she went through this process that she was supposed to go through legally. So, therefore, no matter what she says, she should be taken seriously and she, should be believed because she went to court, because she can name all these motions and these rulings. And it seems kind of like a try hard thing. I
Yes.
mean, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah. Part 4 there begins with, to summarize, this case was already scheduled to be administratively dismissed by the court. And after learning I had miscarried, I chose not to pursue it any further. Now, I was struck by that use of learning I had miscarried. Again, there's that distance line from it, isn't there? Where a woman, I think, would say, after I miscarried, because it's happened to me. Now, I know you could make an argument. I think she had to be told by a doctor she was miscarrying or had miscarried in her story. So maybe that is what she means. But still, I had miscarried would be closer. And even if you had to be told by a doctor, if you were pregnant, I think you would still feel it very, very personally. So therefore, again, we've just got that learning I had miscarried distance that she creates again there.
You're right. And something else, I thought about, I feel like, we talked about this, like, a lot of women have miscarried, I've miscarried, and you're right. The phrasing is really sensitive. It's really not something that I would want to distance myself from, but also I feel like with her and the fact that she does use the pronoun I, there's a good chance that she has miscarried in her life, that at some point in her life, and that's where I'm thinking she's going back to, where she's like, okay, I can take ownership of this because it has happened to me before. So, I'm
Yeah.
okay using it in that sense, but just not maybe this time with Clayton
Yeah.
Echard.
Let me speculate a little bit further, and this is just pure speculation. But if she was hoping to be pregnant as a result of some interaction that had happened and had then had a period, she may characterize that as miscarrying in psychologically, because she was hoping that the pregnancy would occur, and very much the same as a miscarriage would happen. Something comes out of the body, and she may well be that may well be where she can take that reference from, because and let's look at just let's take it away from Laura Owens, but let's look at someone who desperately was wanting to be pregnant. The feeling of having a period that confirms you're not pregnant may have many of the same characteristics psychologically as having a miscarriage, in terms of like the loss of hope, the feeling that this is the end of the line with this, and so on. So that could be what is going on there as well.
Especially if she was late or something. So she had it in her mind, like, oh, this is it this time. This is it. And then that happened. Yeah, you're totally right. I think a lot of those scenarios could be true, which is why she feels like she can take the ownership. Where with some of the other statements about going to this clinic and going to that clinic, no ownership, no pronouns.
Yeah, you said to keep it light, and I've obviously just taken it down psychologically
No,
away
sorry.
there.
No,
But
I started it. Sorry.
But look, let's get back to Laura. Later on there in that paragraph, she says, I was letting it close quietly, but then Echard unexpectedly moved to revive the case. Words that end in ly always get me going. So why put them in? Why put? She could have just said Echard moved to revive the case, but she has to put unexpectedly in there. Well, unexpected to who? It obviously wasn't unexpected to him. He did it, so it wasn't. What she
Yeah.
means is, I think what she's getting at here is that she had this plan for proceeding and getting out of this jam that she felt she was in, but she was blindsided by the fact that Clayton was not letting her get away out of this that easily, which is why that unexpectedly word is put in there.
Yep. This is, oh man. So I'm gonna get sidetracked again because so when you jumped off, we had a little sidebar about Harvey Weinstein. Jack
Oh,
knows
right.
about. Yeah. Yes. I'm just, with this and the way I feel about Justin Baldoni, I just think things have shifted a bit in terms of, before we never thought of men as being quote unquote victims. I'm not saying anyone's a victim here. I do think Clayton Echard is a victim here because, and I can say that because the court of law, approved this. He is a victim. So, but it is kind of crazy that now we're seeing more of, females being called out for some of this type of behavior. So, the narrative has shifted, and I think that people have to be careful nowadays in 2025. But
Yeah.
I hope no one is taking that the wrong way. I just think that the phrase "believe all women," especially after Amber Heard, I think that's kind of gone. I don't know, gone away. I feel like our chat is, normal enough. Not not to be sensitive, because I'm not saying that. I'm not saying don't believe all women. I'm just.
My personal take on it, seeing as we're going into personal stories, is listen to all women. Just listen. I think that is enough. Not enough. You obviously have to listen and maybe do something if you hear more there. But believe all women, just the same as believe all men or believe all children, would not be the right thing to do. So, but I much prefer listening and not brushing allegations away.
I love that. That is much better. I'm glad you could swoop in and shut me up before I say something ridiculous. But no, you're right. Listen to everybody, and then make your opinions or your calls or whatever. But I just wanted to put that out there.
Should we go back to Laura?
Let's do that. Why don't we do that?
So she says at the end of that paragraph you've highlighted there, she says that she filed a formal request to permanently end the case, ensuring it couldn't be reopened. I just wrote a question after I read that. By who? Because again, I think that what she was trying to do was shut this down so that it was all going to go away. Because she then asks the question later on, why would I refile a paternity action after I had told the court I was no longer pregnant? Two things there. Why would I refile a paternity action after I had told the court I was no longer pregnant? Why not? Why would I refile a paternity action after I was no longer pregnant? Again, she's got this distance there where it's not I'm no longer pregnant, it's I've told the court I'm no longer pregnant. Two very different things there. What I think she really hates here, and what I think she was trying to do, was back out of this situation without it costing her any money. She was trying to close the whole thing down legally, and Echard said, no, we're going to go through with this because you have tried to pull a fast one on me here, and I want this to be dealt with in court. So I think she's hurt and sore about that.
Well, so I took that as maybe she's trying to make it so they can't file any type of criminal complaint, but that would be completely different. It wouldn't matter if she closed this case or not. You can still file a criminal complaint against her. But that's kind of how I interpreted that. But I don't know. Maybe
having read through it, she wanted to close the case with prejudice, which meant the case is closed and could never come back again, which does make sense. Well, no, it doesn't make sense with paternity suits because obviously this is a very specific situation where the pregnancy is no longer carrying on, whereas in some ones, it could be that paternity is in doubt. You wouldn't want that to be closed forever and couldn't come back to, because maybe something will be discovered in 5-6 years' time, which does allow for this to be reconsidered. She
Right.
just wanted it closed down for all time for some reason.
Yeah, very odd. Very strange language.
Yeah, my favorite one, my favorite quote in the whole blog. I can't believe she put this in herself because it's not a quote from her. She has quoted from the actual ruling from the appeal court. Um, Owen's position on appeal is unreasonable. Her Rule 26 argument is not grounded in law or fact. Which I believe is a big deal when you make an appeal. You should have some law and facts on your side, but
Yep. Yeah, maybe that would be a good
none
idea.
none whatsoever. That is a pretty damning indictment on that part of the appeal that she made when they said that.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Just that bottom paragraph there on your screen. Note that she says in family law, appellate fee awards are uncommon and typically reserved for appeals that are clearly frivolous or malicious. Uncommon and typically says to me the opposite also happens, because you can't just say or never or don't work this way. It's just
Right.
uncommon and typically. So you've not really convinced me there of everything going on. She talks about just at the end there, the very last thing on your screen there, all for filing a paternity petition. I had every legal right to file. Interesting there. Again, we just got this distance. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's not a paternity petition.
Right.
Petition. I was
Right.
every right to file. I wanted to prove the paternity of my unborn child. Had every right to do this, but every legal right to file.
Yeah, and Cat Lady, I'm just looking at what you said. She describes it perfectly, but lacks insight to be able to apply herself. This goes back to her quoting uh the unreasonable, her appeal is unreasonable, blah, blah, blah. She just states that, but she doesn't explain why it is reasonable or why. I mean, it's strange. That made no sense to me. Why show us that unless you're going to explain why you are correct and the court is wrong? I mean,
Yeah,
that's weird, but
very weird.
yeah.
And then just a couple of bits in her summation at the end, which is called "Where do we go from here?"
Sorry.
Which is she says, "Can a woman who submits a lab-confirmed urine and blood positive pregnancy tests, along with photographic and video evidence of a visibly pregnant abdomen?"
Wait, where I lost, hold on, where? Oh, at the
It's
bottom.
your
There.
last paragraph there.
Yeah.
So once again,
And
she's not talking about herself, but she's talking in general about women. And then we have video evidence of a visibly pregnant abdomen.
hold on, I'm still
What does that even
there
mean?
it is.
Right there
Okay.
in the middle of your screen
Yes.
there.
Yes.
She said she provided video evidence of a visibly pregnant abdomen.
Yeah.
Again, she's looking at this. I think as Cat Lady says there, she has the right language, but not verbalizing it the way a pregnant person would say. So maybe I'm putting words in your mouth here, Lauren, but when you were pregnant, would you say you had a visibly pregnant abdomen, or would you
No.
say I looked pregnant? you know?
Honestly, I probably would have said I looked fat. That's
Yes.
probably what I would have said. But no, I would have never said I have a visibly pregnant
Pregnant
abdomen.
abdomen.
No.
Yeah. It's
Well,
just, it falls apart massively.
yeah.
And then she finishes it off by saying the Constitution means something, so she's taken it to the
Oh.
Constitution, which is
Oh.
so
Mhm.
it's a really interesting thing because we don't have a constitution in this country. So my only experience of, or my largest experience of contributions, is seeing constitutions, is seeing Americans talk about them like they are some holy,
Mm.
untouchable thing. But it always strikes me very often, not all the time, but very often, when people start talking about the Constitution, it means they don't actually have an argument that they can make. So they just go, but Constitution, if that makes sense. That's why the Constitution seems to be coming in here. And she
Yep.
finishes
Yep.
off this isn't just about what happened to me, it's about making sure it never happens to anyone else.
Again. Yeah.
Ah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
I don't buy that at all. Again, it's one of those things. Oh, by the way,
Okay.
I know this has been all about me, all about me, all about me, but I'm doing it for everyone else. Trust me, I'm a nice person. I'm doing this for you as much as for myself.
I was just thinking that, like, yes, Laura is doing this for women everywhere who feel wronged by the court for not, I mean, it's crazy. And it's like, this is the first we've done a couple analysis of her statements regarding this, and not once do I recall her ever stating that this was for any other women or for anyone else right? I mean, am I wrong on this? And people in the chat correct me. All of her blogs, all of her video, it's not about for other people. It's for her to prove to Clayton that she's not lying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't really understand what bandwagon she is on, because this is a very unusual case. It's not like there are there's some real issues facing women in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Yeah.
being able to get out of filing a paternity test even is not really one of the big ones that's right up there. That's a battle worth fighting, is it?
So this is an interesting question. Amy said asking all the questions creates distance from herself, where she's just like, well, doesn't this mean this? Doesn't XYZ mean this? Like it should, right? And she wants us to say, yeah, it does.
Yeah. It's a very crafty way of doing it. So the where do we go from here section is all in questions, and that is like, if you really had such a strong point, you would be finishing off by saying, this ruling shows a judge can decide case using information that has never been entered into evidence. Litigants do not have a right to fairness and can be sanctioned. Women who submit tests cannot. This is what this ruling allows. And she would go bum, 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 bum. Instead, it's questions. And she does say at one point, can I ask the obvious question? Which is like, yeah, there we go. When you ask an obvious question, you've got very little to say.
Yeah. Yep. I go back, Jack, and like people will probably hate me for saying this, but I feel bad for her in the way of like she does need help. And I know that she has really ruined some lives. I shouldn't say she's ruined Clayton's life. She's made his life very difficult. And some of her other, there's been other men. It's tough. It's like you need help, because this is not I don't want to say normal, but it's just not healthy. It's not great to focus your life on things like this. And
I'll see if I can find it really, really quickly. Clayton made a statement which I said was very classy. And
I would love to see this.
No deception.
Is it recent? Because I'll just look it up.
Yeah, I can't remember where I found it though. But yes, it's recent, from this week.
Oh, okay. Here we go. The Arizona Republic. I'm pulling this up. Let me share this. If you can see this. Hang on. There we go.
Good, because I pressed the wrong button and have Grok writing out sentences.
No, I'm sure there's a quote in here somewhere. Let's see. Maybe no. Oh. His attorney said the trial court got it right and the Court of Appeals confirmed it. After at least 4 suspicious pregnancy claims, we are hopeful that this ruling brings some closure to those harmed. What does Clayton say? Oh, in a social media post, he said, my legal battle is finally over. He thanked the Bachelor Nation community for their support and his legal team. Today is about being grateful for everyone who has helped me, Echard wrote. After being dragged through the mud and the effect on my mental health, I am ready for whatever comes next. Echard said he did not endorse any negativity towards Owens, whom he called the perpetrator. I do hope she is held accountable in the criminal justice system, but really hope she gets the help she needs so no one is ever hurt by her again.
Yeah, so that last bit was why I mentioned it, because you talked about Laura needing, some help here, and I think it was very classy at the end. I thought the whole statement, which I've got now in front of me from Clayton, is actually quite long, is very classy, indeed. He's just very complete at odds with Ms. Owens' Medium blog. He's very grateful. He recognizes people. He reaches out, and it's a very outwards looking statement. And at the end, he does say, I hope she gets the help she needs and no one is ever hurt by her again. I did see one, not quite deception in his statement, but I did quite like it. You read it out. He said, I also want to note that I don't endorse or encourage any negativity towards the perpetrator. Didn't say don't do it. He didn't say don't do it. He just went, I don't endorse it and I do not encourage it.
Yeah, I mean, I actually felt like that was kind of nice that he even put
Oh yeah.
that in there because, yeah, she's been saying that she's been harassed and obviously got a
Yeah.
copyright strike whenever we use her stuff. I'm not mad about that, but I am a little bit. But yeah, I feel like he didn't have to say that though, right? Like he didn't
No, he
have to.
didn't.
And
It,
you're right though, because he didn't have to. His lawyer probably was like, just throw it in there. And that's why he was like, fine.
yeah.
Right.
If you do have 5 minutes, go and search out Clayton's statement if you haven't seen it already, because it is how to write classily
Ooh.
about a situation.
And that is probably on his Instagram, I
It might be on
believe.
his Instagram. It looks like,
Yeah, yeah.
screenshots from an Instagram post.
Let me show you. Sorry, someone's blowing up my phone right now. I'm like, I just said, hold on. So Cat Lady she wanted me to bring up, or you to bring up, something about her lawyer. And I said, oh, we actually do have something that's, who is it? Seeking justice for all victims of Laura Owens. She put this on Twitter and Jack brought it to my attention. Where is it? Yeah, right here. It's pretty uncomfortable, this whole thing. I'll play it for you guys really quickly.
And by the way, you can tell me.
Hold on. How do I make this? Okay, sorry.
And by the way, you can tell me if I'm not allowed to say this, but people are asking, when are you going to pay Clayton? Are you going to pay Clayton? I hope that you never pay Clayton. And people don't seem to realize that, like Donald Trump filed bankruptcy 6 times and Donald Trump is famous for stiffing creditors. I mean, it's the amount of people's lives that Trump has ruined. I saw this amazing TikTok thing about a guy who killed himself because he lost his business because Trump didn't pay him for a carpet installation. And it was, anyway, you're not going to kill yourself, but you're also not going to pay Clayton. You're not legally, people think he's going to put you in jail. We don't do that in America. If you have millions of dollars stashed away, he can go look for it. If you don't, he ain't getting nothing. And you could file bankruptcy, or you could just not. But either way, there's no legal requirement for you to post a bond at any part of this. All that means is he can go after you and collect. But if you don't have the money to be collected because of yeah, well, then guess what? You get blood from a stone, or you don't. But
whoa,
gross.
By the way,
sorry,
you can tell.
I guess I'm so surprised at a lawyer saying this. I guess, I mean, this is publicly. He's saying don't pay him. Don't abide by the law. I mean, sure, say that like in private in your office. What?
Do you know, I know 1 or 2 people who have had, I think, more fines, like court fines and so on, rather than judgments against them in court. They've gone and worked hard to earn the money to pay off the fine and discharge their debt to society, if you like. That never crossed their mind. Don't pay. Don't pay. Go bankrupt. Gross.
I would be very stressed if that was me and I didn't have the money, and I would try to think. I mean, I would never dream of going online, sitting there with my lawyer and putting it out there that I am not going to pay at my lawyer's directive. Not only, it's one thing if Laura as a lay was like, I don't have the money, I'm not paying. And he's like, hey, we'll talk about this later. Homeboy was like, yeah, this is my idea. Don't pay. No one pays. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it might be a perfectly valid conversation in a lawyer's office when no one was watching, but don't broadcast it.
Right. And what did he say? There's an amazing, I think he said the word amazing. There's an amazing TikTok about this guy that killed himself over Trump. How is that amazing exactly? Tell me exactly how.
I'll tell you what, this might not get me the nice comments, but Laura's reaction to that was actually one of empathy, that she did not want to hear this story about the guy who did that because of Donald Trump.
I was thinking the same thing. Laura, I felt like she was a little taken aback at his excitement over that TikTok. And she was like, well, I hope no one kills themselves, type of thing. Like that is crazy.
Yeah.
And
in
totally
fact,
dizzy, sure. But just like, imagine your lawyer being like, yeah, wow.
Do you know, by the way, again, look, I just realized there that Laura doesn't engage in that conversation at all, apart from to say she doesn't have millions of dollars. She's not saying anything, but she might be thinking, shut up.
I know. I was thinking that too. So what, and I've heard different opinions about this lawyer, about that he's done some allegedly shisty things. I don't know all of the details. However, seeing this one clip, well, it sounds pretty believable to me that some shisty things would yeah. I mean, yeah, it's true. Everyone did notice she was very awfully quiet. But again, why do something like that? Why, yeah.
I don't know. It's almost full circle from why do the Hogans get out there and air their dirty laundry in public?
No, I
Why,
know,
when you've had
right?
such a stinging judgment against you, do you not back off quietly for a bit?
Yeah. Well, Cat Lady, if you have anything else you want to send to us, no, just that you find interesting about the legal interactions with her lawyer or whatever. Like I said, I've heard some things that he gets a little snippy with people that play the clips and do things like that. I mean, whatever, I don't care. But just send it to me on Twitter or via email. I think you guys have my email, but I would love to see it, because that was shocking. I mean, where's the legal standard nowadays? What the hell? Right?
I was going to make a Karen Reid joke there, but I'm not.
No, I mean, look, we could go on. God, I was just discussing this, how I'm like, I like David Yannetti a lot. I'm sorry. I think he's a really genuine hometown local guy. I do. I like him. I would want to like grill out in the summer with him and have a beer with him, but that's just me. No, whatever.
I'm doing a Laura and saying nothing.
I know you're so good about it. Listen, Alan Jackson, I feel like it would be like, all right, take me out on the town, give me a nice martini. I'll put on my highest heels, and those are the two vibes I get, the different one. Thank you, Dizzy. Yes. And also, if you look up David Yannetti, he, like, when he was a prosecutor, he put away some really bad people. There is this
really?
Oh, yeah. Like this one kidnapping case actually in New Hampshire, where I'm from, this boy, it's so sad. I think Yannetti actually wrote a book about it. They kidnapped this kid and he died in a really horrific. I was just about to go down a rabbit hole. They like gassed him and killed him and then threw him. It's awful. It's so awful. But wow, keeping it light again, as usual. So here we go. But yeah, anyone who enjoys Jack's analysis, please follow him on his YouTube at Never a Truer Word Videos. Also on X, Jack is very quick with the statements. Like, I will put something out there and all of a sudden Jack will be like, oh, let's look into these words. If you saw Virginia Giuffre, Roberts, whatever you want to call her, an Epstein whistleblower, Prince Andrew whistleblower, she had a statement the other day about having 4 days to live. And look, I think a lot of us were like, whoa, this seems odd, but we didn't want to victimize her further. However, it turns out it might not be true what she's saying. Jack called it. He called it.
Yeah. And also, I've got an episode coming out this weekend on that, which is not about her, because I don't want to have a go at her, because bad things have happened to her.
Yeah.
It is about why so many people saw that statement and went, this doesn't add up. Why? Why did you feel that way? What was it inside the statement that made you feel that way? I'll go through the things that may have made you feel that way, so that my thing is, trust your gut instinct a bit more. If you hear something and you think that smells a bit off, then trust it, and I'll show you why that works in this episode.
Yeah, no, I remember the first thing I had said to you was, if I'm gonna die, it's not gonna be buried below in my statement. I'm gonna say, guys, I'm gonna die. I mean, hopefully I'll never have to say that. But there was that, and then and I was looking back at her Instagram, and like I said, I don't want to victimize her, but she does seem to, those people that post pictures of themselves in the hospital, like, a lot, and you're just like, oh, I don't think I would do that, to be like, hey, here's a selfie of me in the hospital. Unless I'm really seeking some type of attention here. But poor lady.
Yeah, agreed. What I uncover in her Instagram post, it's she's not in a good place.
Yeah, and also I sent it to one of my other guys that do deception, Paul Mayerday, and he just said, man, there are so many traces of depression in this. like very depressed, these type of what people say, you know, and he had this whole thing and I forget what he said, but I was like, that's a really good point to look out for. Even if your friends are texting you, your family members, you should look out for these things because they do signal depression and maybe somebody doesn't want to come right out and say it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly that in there.
I feel like this is like my second coffee. I feel like I yapped more than usual today because I'm just caffeinated. So
It's 25 to 4 in the afternoon here. So, you know, you're hitting the vibe.
Okay, thank you. It's 10:35 a.m. here. I should let you go. I should pop in, check in on some Karen Reed jury selection and all of that jazz. But we'll definitely follow up. We'll do Andrew Tate. We'll do more Owens, maybe her lawyer. Send us everything. Anybody and everyone. You guys know where to reach us. But Jack, anything else before we call it?
No, I'm all good. I'm looking forward to some more work on Andrew Tate.
Love it. Okay. Thanks, everyone. See you later, Jack. Because of that 9-line. And Ted Cruz says, look, if you're not into geopolitics,